We are joined now by Jason Druten of West Torrance, California. His high school is sometimes Division II, sometimes Division III. It just kind of changes from year to year. Out in California, they have 5 divisions. They are the 3-time CIF Southern Section champions and the 2017 state champions. And also in the spring of 2017, he had 2 different boys on the team at the same time. One a 153 800-meter runner, one a 411 miler. He is a native of Kansas City, where we are recording this podcast from.
Go Chiefs.
And, he's been out here. He came out here several years ago with his team, and we got to meet him and become friends, and we're thrilled to have him with us today. Jason, how are you doing?
All right, man. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me on, guys.
A pleasure. Would you mind just starting off telling us a little bit about your journey as how you got into running and how you ended up in California and how you became a head cross-country coach? Because your story is a little different, a little fun, a little bit of fun.
Yeah, a little bit different than a lot of people. So I actually got forced into it. I started teaching at Wyandotte High School in Kansas City, Kansas in '93. I played basketball, soccer my whole life, and I wanted to coach basketball at Wyandotte High School. It's like a dream job for me. I lived like 3 blocks from the school growing up. And they said, sure, come on in. You could be a basketball coach, but you need to coach cross country. I was like, huh? What the hell is cross country? It's they're like, it's running. I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. Because running my entire life had been punishment, right? I mean, you mess up on the basketball court, you run lines. You mess up on the soccer field, you run. So I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. But I said, I want to coach basketball, so I'll jump in. So I jumped in, had never run 3 miles a day in my life. There was no way. I thought those people were idiots. Their shorts were too short. They looked weird. But I jumped out there, man, and we'd go to practice. We'd run a mile, and we'd go home. Then I'd open up the gym, and we'd play basketball. That was my whole first year. We won league. I was like, I'm on to something. This sport's easy, right? But so then I got transferred to Washington High School and met some guy out there that was coaching. He goes, no, it's more than that. So I upped my mileage to 3 miles. We do 3 miles some days because that's all we were running, 3 miles. So let's go 3-mile run. Then we'd go home and go play basketball, and it was heaven again. But all of a sudden, I just got tired. And honestly, we'd go out to the St. Thomas run out there at your school, and we just get our butts kicked so bad, and it was embarrassing. I was like, no. I'm not getting embarrassed anymore. So I started going to clinics, started learning that you had to run more than 3 miles if you were going to be successful, and just jumped on that bandwagon. And then for some reason, I just went to Hermosa Beach to visit a buddy in the summer, and I'd sleep on his couch all summer. And 4th of July was so going off that on July 5th, I called home and I said, I'm not coming back. And I just quit my job, and I moved to Los Angeles, California. I've never looked back and got lucky. I ended up at West Torrance High School, and they said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I coach cross country. And man, ever since then, it's just been all downhill.
Oh, that's such a good story. And I guess before we get into the COVID stuff, because we're going to talk about that a little bit, then how have you evolved from going from that, those early years to where you are now, such a successful program? Winning a California state championship in any classification is just mind-boggling, the number of schools that you'd have to defeat on the way there. Incredible accomplishment. So how did you get from where you started to where you are now? What kind of were some major turning points for you?
A lot of mistakes, but there's some facts to that. No, I would just I'd go to every single, out here we have these things called the LA 84 clinics, where the Los Angeles, when the Olympics came, they made so much money, they created this huge fund that they just provide free clinic after free clinic. And they get the top coaches to come talk at it. So I would just go and get whatever they were doing, and I would try it. And so in the early days, it was Royal High. Every year it seemed to be a different one. Now it's Great Oak and Newberry Park. They're the ones that are there. And I just go to clinics like you're doing at the Heartland Summit, which is phenomenal. It is as good a clinic as it is the best clinic I've ever been to. Seriously, because you're hot. No, but I'm not talking about this. The speakers you're getting are way better than the first year because you had me there. But, no, but the way you treat people, you will never go to a clinic where you're treated like you are at that clinic as a host or as somebody going to the clinic. But I just went and I would just try the stuff, and what I liked, I kept. And then I mean, I did a different workout or a different system probably every year for the first 10 years. I tried at different schools. And I just know what I like now, and I just kind of just do my own thing now. But I still go to every clinic. I mean, I went to 3 virtual clinics this COVID period, and I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, if you think you know this sport, then you've lost. You've just totally lost, because it changes every single year.
So as track and school began to shut down this spring, how did that affect you personally? How did you handle it? And then what did you do with your team for those months?
God, I probably remember that day as probably one of the craziest days that I've ever been in coaching over the last 26, 27 years. So on Monday, they called us into the office, the teachers, and said, you know what, this is what we might happen, but it's probably inevitable. We're going to shut down. I was like, all right. So we had a major track meet scheduled for that Friday and Saturday. Like, I think I had 1,100 frosh soft people coming to my track alone to run the 1,600. That was it. 1,100 kids, right? And the major track meets 800 yards away at Redondo High School, which has 3,000 kids. So that's how close our schools are. But they shut us down. So I told the kids, I go, bring your uniforms. We're running time trials on that Friday because we don't know when we're coming back. So they all brought their uniforms. It never rains out here. It was pouring down rain. It was freezing. It was miserable. It was March 12th. And we went out and did it. And so many PRs we just ran 4x8s and 4x4s, but so many people split PRs in the 800 and the 400. And I was so excited. I was like, we're ready to go. So I got them all together at the end. I said, listen, guys, you got to train these next 3 weeks. Because when we come back after 3 weeks, those that didn't train, they're going to be screwed. And we're going to be right there. We're going to take one step forward. They're going to take a step back. Well, that was 4 months ago, and we're still not back. So it's been pretty sad, man. I got it all on video, actually. How many people video their last speech, right, before the COVID? And so I look back at that every once in a while. It's pretty special to me. But no, it's been depressing. I'll be honest with you. My whole life, every spring, I thought I hated track meets. I thought they were too long, but I missed it so much. I missed the kids. I missed the competing. I missed watching the struggles. There was so much about it that I missed, but I had to keep telling myself that I'm good, man. Nobody's sick in my family. I have a job. There's nothing really that wrong with me, except I just can't watch kids run. So how can my life be that bad? But I went into some major depression for a while. It was pretty tough.
Very understandable. I definitely felt the same way and had a really hard time back in March, especially. I'm going to jump to this next one here because California has a plan for cross country, and it's different. Tell us what your state is planning to do for cross country as it stands right now. We all have heard the phrase, the situation is fluid. We're all tired of hearing that, but we know that. We understand that. What's the plan for California cross country as of right now?
Yeah, I'll answer that, but I want to talk about the kids real quick. What happened to them? Okay. I had kids that wouldn't leave their room, and their parents would call me asking me will you talk to my son and get him out of his room? That's where our runners went, and I'm sure you guys are all in the same boat. I don't know how things work like at every school, but my kids were so used to coming out every day, being in sunshine, taking their shirt off, getting that vitamin D, hanging out with a whole bunch of people, all their best friends, basically their family. And then they would get the endorphins from running, and then they would go home and their parents would be like, no, you cannot leave the house. And they turned into the most miserable people, not all of them, but some of them, the most miserable people I have ever been around. And I've never felt so sad for people, because some of the kids' parents were allowing them to go out and just pretend like this wasn't happening. And others were getting locked down like they were in prison. And man, it just tore my entire team that was so close. It literally ripped us apart from the inside out. And we're still not recovered from it. But that's the kids' point of view.
Yeah, well, then I'll push back to this other question, and we'll put the other one on hold. So through the summer, what did summer look like for you and your team then? Were you guys meeting at all in person? Was everything virtual?
So no, we're not allowed to meet. We're in Los Angeles County. We have 9 million people here, 9 to 10 million people in Los Angeles County, and we've been shut down. we're on some watch list that we have to be off of for 14 days before we can go back to school. And I don't know how we're going to get off the watch list. It makes no sense for Los Angeles County to get off of it. So like around us, Orange County, Ventura County, these are other counties surrounding our Los Angeles. They might get off of it. So they might get to start practicing, but I can't practice. So of course we're all trying to find ways to practice, right? I mean, everybody, when it shut down, just like Google Doc or the Zoom, let's go out and go for a run by yourself, not, let's social distance. And so we started doing that and tracking them on Strava. And, some of the kids could do it and some of them couldn't. I mean, what are you going to do if you have older parents, maybe some kids, I can't go, my parents are older, and some parents are like, no, you cannot go out of the house. And so there were no rules. Every family had different rules. So I don't know. We just kind of like try to give them guidance, try to get them out the door. And then we started making small pods, like, okay, 5 of you guys meet at this park, because you want to run with your buddies, right? I mean, that's what makes this whole sport so special, is the runs with your friends, just hanging out with your friends. So we created small pods and start off with like 5 kids. And the next thing you know, my dumb high school kids all met with to do a time trial. 50 of them showed up at one place, and you could have ran anywhere in the world. And what do? They go back to my high school at 8:30 when all the administrators are pulling in a run around the school. And they called me and go, it's done. Shut it down. And I was like, man, I'm in bed still, people. This is 8:30 in the morning. I'm in bed. I got nothing to do with this. But so then I had to be the enforcer and say, guys, you can't meet. So we're back to nothing again. We're back to nothing. We do some Zoom meetings. I send out some Google Docs, and it's just, I don't know. Some teams are still practicing, but West Torrance isn't. Not as a team. We're just 100% individuals right now.
So as you're sending stuff out digitally, virtually, what kind of stuff are you hoping the kids to do right now? Now, again, this kind of leads into the other question.
Yeah, for sure.
Your cross-country season's now in the winter/spring. So tell us, what are you guys trying to do right now? What do you want to do right now?
That is the question, I'm telling you. So until last week, July 20th, CIF changed our starting date. So until then, I was just expecting that, hey, we might start normal time with no fans or some type of modified schedule. So until then, I was just on my same summer program, get ready, just kind of keeping it the same, right? What we've known. And then they bust this thing out saying that we're going to go from December 26th. So we will definitely have a meet if the season's the day after Christmas. How fast will that be? Oh God. And I think we end on March 27th, but track starts on March 12th or something like that. So cross country ends on March 27th if you make the state meet, but track's first race is March 12th. And so, yeah, we have a meeting today at 1 with all the coaches. I bring a couple athletes in, a couple past athletes. We're going to sit down. We got sticky notes. We got a whole calendar from August 1st until our state meet, by the way, is 2 weeks after school is out for track. Put that in perspective. School's out for 2 weeks, and that's our state meet. It's the most bizarre thing, but hey, if we get to do it, we get to do it. I'm in. Let's go.
So, so you're going to have this meeting.
Yes.
And you're going to, this happen later today. You're going to get people in there. What do you really want your team to understand when you meet with them in order to be able to set the tone for the upcoming year? It is kind of a question about how you would set that tone for a year in general, but will you do anything also that's a little bit different because of the changes that have been made?
Oh, it's all going to be different. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we've lost our culture. Let's just be real about this. Everything that we've done in the past is gone. It's out the window. I mean, I guess the 4-track got replaced by the 8-track, the 8-track by the cassette by the CD by MP3, and now we're to Spotify, right? So I'm going beyond Spotify. We sit down, we're going to try to iron it out. I think you're going to have to do a lot more speed work in cross country since you're going right into track. We don't get that break. Normally you get the November to March, kind of figure it out, let kids relax, go play other sports, come back to you. We don't get a break. So now you're training from now until June 26th. That's your season now, right? So where's your scheduled break going to come in there? What, like, when are you going to start doing your track stuff? So honestly, I'll post it all as soon as we figure it out. It might be a 2-day process, and it's probably going to be the most epic blow up you've ever seen in your life. But I'm going to try to blend it. I'm going to try to Venn diagram that thing. I'll probably have my more pure distance guys, my 32 cross country guys, probably on a whole different schedule than my 8 and 1600 cross country guys. Or maybe I'll just get lazy and put them all on the 800 stuff. Who knows? I really, you know, we went from like 6-day, 7-day cycles to 11-day cycles and 9 days. I may be on a 22-day cycle on this sucker. I don't have any clue.
You're an innovator, coach. That's what we love you.
Hey, we're going to mix it up. I'll tell you right now, we're going to be throwing punches left and right. So
that'll connect.
Yeah. But the hardest part of this whole thing is going to be is, so for us, let's just take a freshman in high school right now, right? They didn't have a track season. So they're out of track, right? And most of my star track kids, or honestly, I got a lot of soccer kids that run, because soccer and cross country aren't the same season out here. Soccer is our winter sport in California. So now they're freshmen that didn't get to run track. This year during track, soccer's at the same time. They're not going to get to run track. So I'm losing 2 years of superstar soccer kids learning the sport of track. Their first track season is going to be their junior year. So you tell me how the expectations are going to change from a junior coming in who I'd expect to run 4:30 in a 1600 to now a junior like, man, let's try to break 5. It's like, it's just like all my expectations have to be just totally changed, I think. And I'm going to figure this puzzle out. I just don't know how yet.
As you're talking about trying to problem solve and figure out what to do, so what are you guys doing right now? You talked about you're sending training out, you're doing Zooms and tracking.
Yeah.
So how's your training look for your kids right now? How does that compare to what you would have done in previous seasons?
So normally, like right now, we'd be doing like our normal, like our tempo type run, a long run, some type of like interval stuff, just kind of this part, like just mixing it up, just getting ready to go. Because we'd be packing up to go to camp on Monday, which is my favorite time of the entire year. It's better than Christmas to me, going to running camp. And now the Grinch stole Christmas. And so what we're going to do now is we're going over. We are actually, so it was just a normal cross country season until July 20th planning. But now we're going over, we're taking I have these X Factor workouts. We're doing 300s and 600s. We're going to incorporate that during our cross country season to progress. Probably not at the beginning, because I have 8 months from right now till the state cross country meet. 8 months. 8. I mean, that's unheard of. Like, what am I going to do for 8 months and then jump straight into track? So there's going to be a lot of slow progressions, because I've got kids who've been staying on our training program, like super excited. I have 2 sophomores one sophomore, but his training buddy who's pretty close to him couldn't do it. Went out and ran a time trial, 3,200 sophomore with COVID training, ran a 9:52 on the track, just kind of out there on a time trial. I'm like, all right, I can work with that, right? We'd all take a sophomore running 9:52 training by yourself. Who wouldn't take that? I mean, 99.9% of the United States would. So that shows me the training was there if the kids did it. The problem is 80% of my kids didn't do it. So my mileage, thank God I have 8 months, right? My mileage can start off super low, and we can just progress and just get these kids that hadn't done anything kind of caught back up the first 4 months. And then the next 4 months, maybe get them in shape. I'm sure we're all going to have a lot of questions, but I think patience is going to be the main thing that everyone's going to have to understand, is that you better be patient on this. You better look and think that, because normally we're getting geared up in August and September. Normally we're geared up to go then, but you better not be geared up in September, because come March, you're going to be geared down.
Coach, when you spoke at the Heartland Distance Summit here in Kansas City, you did an awesome job. But one of the things that I think a lot of people liked was your X Factor workouts. I know you and I talk about those from time to time. I know you're fired up about them. Can you tell our listeners about your X Factor workouts and how you lay those out and how they work?
Yeah, so I basically have 2 of them. I have an 800 and a 1600 one. And the premise is basically this. You take let's talk the 800 meter X factors. You take whatever you want to run your 800 in, right? Let's just say it's 2 minutes, just to make the math simple. And at the end of the day, you are going to run, at the end of the progression, we have like a 12-week progression. You are going to run 12 300s in 45 seconds with a 1 minute break. That is hard. If you hit that, if you hit 10 of those, you will 100% break 2 minutes, right? But obviously you don't start with that. But we break it down. We start off with 200s at 30, right? The same pace. Everything's just at goal pace the whole time. And we just increase the distance up to 300 and we decrease the recovery. So week 1, it's like 10 200s at 30 with 2 minutes recovery. And everybody's happy because everybody's successful. Then we just keep making it a little bit harder every week for 12 weeks. And then at the end, if you stayed on and you've done your work, you're going to come pretty damn close to hitting it. And man, I'll tell you, it's changed our game. It's changed our success in track for sure.
What day of the week does that fall in your training week, in your plan?
It
Doing
used
it
to fall-
every week. Does it have a set day?
every So what I do is I alternate them. So I'll do 800 pace work, 1 cycle, 10-week cycle, and then 1600, which are 600s. You have to hit 600s at your 1600 goal pace. So my guy this year was trying to run 408, and man, that was, I mean, wow, that's a fast 600 for 6 of them. So we alternate them. So every 10 days we have an 800 that pace, and then we have a 1600 the next 10 days. And it really works. Pardon me?
You had mentioned a little bit about your mileage and everything. I was wondering what now this year aside, because you're still
Right.
trying to construct those things at this point. What is your typical weekly volume look like during the season?
Extremely low for new kids, freshmen. I'm probably one of the lower people on the totem pole as far as what my freshmen run. But my varsity guys, I try to get them 50 or plus, depending on who the kid is. I think 50 is the magic number for me. I know people like to go up. My assistant coach, who's just nuts, he averages like 120, 150. He did a 200-mile week, my assistant coach, to see if he could do it. 200 miles in 1 week. Guy's a nutcase. But his name is Shane Inman. He made the Olympic trials, though, in the marathon, so obviously he knows something about it. But so I try to get at 50, because at 50, you can kind of do that and not get beat up too bad. Then as they get older, if the kids want to go farther, I let them go farther. But I don't double. I just can't figure out how to double. I can double during the summer, easy. Get up, run, go home, take a nap, get up in the afternoon, go for a run. Maybe during this lockdown, if we get locked down, maybe I will double, right? Because the kids can go home. They don't have to go sit in a classroom seat the whole day. But I value sleep way more than I value doubling. Like I'd rather have a kid rest and sleep. Everyone always tells you, man, it's the best performance enhancement drug there is sleep. And so I'm not going to take that away from the kids. So 50 miles on 6 days of running or 7 days of running, you got to put in some, I think you can slay some dragons with that.
You mentioned that your freshmen, you think are pretty low volume. We spoke to Justin Leonard at South Lake Carroll this morning. He talked about freshman boys doing it. He likes to get them up to about 30 miles a week. Where are you in relation to that number, perhaps?
20.
20?
25. The top guys or some guys always sneak through and always go a little bit more. But if I can get 5 miles a day, now I'm not talking at the beginning, guys. I'm talking about like halfway through the season. If I can get kids running 5 miles 5 times a day and have never run, are you kidding me? Like the problem is we get brainwashed because we've been around the running for so long that we think 5 miles is nothing for a normal kid. But take a year off and go out and run 5 miles and see what that feels like. 5 miles is eternity if you've never run.
Next question, we're asking everybody this because it's just kind of a fun question that I really like. What does tempo run mean to you? A lot of coaches have different definitions, different ways that they do it, different volumes, different paces. Tell me about a Justin Druten. Sorry, tell us about a Jason Druten West Torrance tempo run.
Well, Justin Druten's an idiot, but Jason Druten,
We're going to edit this in post, by the way.
Nah, this is funny. Tempo runs, man, good God. Isn't that like the weirdest name in the world? Yeah, so we don't call them tempo runs at our school. We call them short zones because I don't want kids Googling tempo runs because you can see. I want you
You're
in
an
this.
innovator. I'm in it.
I just want you in this zone for a short amount of time, and we just progress our way up to it. And so basically, when we get to our final tempo thing, it's probably about 40 seconds slower than your race pace, is my guess.
5K race pace.
Yeah, per mile. That's what I think probably your normal tempo run is. Let me see. Is that right? Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you, man. You're the pro
20.
here.
So for example, so we start off, let's just say, for simple math again, an 18-minute person. That's their goal. First time they run 7 minutes, then they go to 6:40, 6:20. Oh yeah, 20 seconds per mile is our tempo pace. 20 seconds per mile, slower than their 5K pace is when we get to when we finally start nailing tempo runs. That's about what it averages it out. But I think it's all effort based, man. Get going. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. I think you have a wide range in there.
Now, if you're telling a kid to do an effort-based workout or tempo run, what kind of cues do you give them? How would you describe it to get them to pick the head right?
I group everything up. When I have 122 boys, right, on my team last year. I probably have 12 groups, maybe 15 groups. They're all predetermined. They come down. They're given a pace. They all get put in. I get different. Sometimes I used to do this. I used to get different color wristbands. So if you're group orange, put on the orange. Then when everybody comes through the line, I know who's off pace because I just look at your wristband. I don't have to know what pace you are. I'm not that smart. I know like 6 guys pace on my team, my top 6 guys. I don't even know my 7th guy's name, right? That's a joke. 7 guys important to some people. But no, so we do that and we stagger it. The slower kids go first. The faster kids come in. And so hypothetically on our tempo runs, if we're going on a 4-mile tempo run, I got 122 boys crossing the line at the same exact time. So I can kind of I have a feel of who struggled, who's doing good, who's going too fast, just by standing at the finish line. They go 4 miles, I'll go 2 miles, I'll walk a mile, go look to the beach, watch the people play volleyball while they're doing it, then come back and they finish. And I don't know, you just sit there and you talk to them. How do you feel? Could you have gone a little bit farther? And we just kind of just alternated. The kids say, I want to move up a group. All right, well, move up a group. It's too fast for you. Then they die. Then they come begging back down to the group. And I don't know, you got to let these kids figure it out a little on their own, right? I mean, they're smart enough. You let the freshmen just fall on their face and you just enjoy it. You let the sophomores think that they're better than what they are. By the time they're juniors and seniors, they know where they're supposed to be and they understand that, hey, sometimes easier is better.
Coach, along those same lines, do you kind of have maybe a number in your mind perpetually that kind of where the longest tempo run distance that you're comfortable with given to any of your athletes during the season?
Yeah, so in cross country, we go the lower levels. When I say low, I'm talking about everybody but like my top 10 guys. The longest they'll ever go is 4. And that's a long way. That's a long tempo run for a younger kid. My top guys, if I get a really solid group, we'll throw down some 5-mile tempo runs. But we started this year and the kids love it. I don't know why. And it really worked well for us in track. We started doing our tempo runs on the track.
Yep.
And I could see them the whole time and they knew exactly how far they went. It was kind of, and when I took the football scoreboard and I put how long instead of doing mileage. This is how many minutes we're going. And we counted it down so they would know exactly when they had 2 minutes left. And kids were just destroying it and they loved it. And I was like, man, how can you love running 24 minutes around this track? But as a coaching thing, I could see every kid. I knew when they were slacking. I could pull kids off, say, no, you're done. You don't have it today. You know, I could tell, I don't know. It worked out somehow. Just luck of the draw. I don't know if I answered your question, but if you've never done a tempo on a track because you think it's going to be miserable, try it, man. I think you'll be surprised, especially if you can put that time up on the football scoreboard so they can see it counting down. And then they look up, damn, there's 12 minutes left. I'm going to die. So I don't know. Maybe that's a bad idea.
So you said you have 120 boys on your team. So how many assistant coaches do you have, and how do you keep track? And you talked about the wristbands, so you kind of have a general idea, but how are you keeping track of all those kids? Like, what tricks do you have to do that?
They take care of each other. I have anywhere between 3 and 6 assistant coaching, depending on the year. But the kids kind of just, I let the kids, like, I really, honestly, I know you people don't believe this. I let the kids figure it out. People are like, well, I go, I don't know. They figure it out. I mean, I don't take roll when we leave a cross country invite to get on the bus. I got 122 boys. The bus is leaving here. Figure it out. The bus is leaving, kids. Get going. I've never 20 some years, I've never left a kid at an invite, and I've never taken attendance when we get on the bus to go home. So I just let the kids figure it out. I mean, at the beginning, the freshmen, we teach them really well. So we concentrate on those freshmen, where they go. Then once they understand where they're supposed to go, they're smarter than us. Let's be honest. They're the ones out there doing the work. So I try to get out of their way. If they think they're faster, go faster. If they think they're slower, go slower.
So Coach, this all kind of speaks to your, I mean, this awesome and unorthodox approach to it. You know, you talk about your background and how that's kind of just developed into a lot of the information that you've given us now. Let's say a new coach comes up to you,
Yep.
wants to get into coaching. What is like the first thing that you tell them, what you think is, you know what, here's the most important piece of advice that I could give to a new coach about your development and where you are now?
There's not one workout that's better than another. I will tell you that right now. There's not a magic workout. There's no reason why the top teams in the nation, their workouts are probably the same as your workouts. It's 100% the attitude and your environment that you create at practice every single day. Every single day, you better come out there with more energy than every kid. You better come out there knowing that there's going to be a lot of kids that don't want to go for a run that day. And you better have some way to get them to go for that run and have fun doing it. Because if that should be your job. Because nobody has to design workouts anymore. There's this app, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, called Google. But if you I guess it's a site, if you just log into there, you can find any workout you want from any team in the nation, and it's heaven. But just because you have that recipe, baby, doesn't mean you know how to cook. So you better sit there and you better learn the spices to put in it, because it's hard, man. This is one hard sport to do day in and day out for 4 years, because it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how good you are. Running will kick you right in the head and tell you that you're not that good. And man, that's why it's so great. That's why the sport is so great.
Jason, I'm always blown away by your sense of humor, your energy, your enthusiasm. What if you have a bad day at the office? You know, maybe school didn't go well. How do you turn it on between 3 and 3:30 or whenever your practice starts? How do you flip the switch and bring it?
Yeah, no, I've had bad days out there. Trust me. You can ask any of my athletes. There's times where I probably should say 12 Hail Marys before I go home because of things I've said. But I'm sitting out there sometimes we have a coaching shed out there. I'm by myself, and I know the kids are coming out in 5 minutes, and I'm just miserable. I mean, as miserable as you can get. I don't want to be there. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. I just had a bad day. We've all had bad days, right? And I just tell myself, okay, you got to do something. You got to do something. So sometimes if it's a super hot day, like let's say we get like a 90-degree day, I'll put on full sweats. I'll have all sweats. I'll have a hoodie on. I'll put gloves on. I'll come running out because I know the kids are going to start complaining that it's hot. So I just make a big joke about it, right? Or if we're doing speed day, I got a speed suit, right? A full body speed suit with a hood. If we're doing speed day and I know that they're not going to have the energy or they feel bad, I just put on a speed suit, man. I'll come running out of that shed like, let's go, baby. Let's knock this thing out. So I just try to catch them off guard. I make them think every day when they come out, they have no clue what they're getting. And I make fun of everybody. I tell them that I'm twice the athlete they ever were. You can't even touch me in anything. We're gonna have competitions. We're gonna tennis ball, and we're throwing a tennis ball at a can for an hour sometimes to see who can knock it off first at like 50 yards. We're like dude perfect, but we don't make anything perfect at our practice.
So we have a part we're going to do called the home stretch. But this is a question from the home stretch. We're not there yet. How would your kids describe you? So if we were to ask a kid on your team, What's Coach Druten like? What would they say?
Man, I don't know. That's a good question. What would they say? They buy me shirt. They bought me a shirt one time that said the idea guy, because I always come up with these that I think they're fabulous ideas, by the way. But they say like 1 out of every 300 work. And so they listed all these stupid ideas that I've come up with. And I was like, why? So one time I wanted to get them on their toes. So I took a pair of the running shoes. This kid's running, give me your running shoes. And I went to the wood shop. I took the belt sander and I just took the whole heel off, right? Said, here, you are no longer running on your heels. There's no more heel striking going on with you. And I gave them back to him. And then,
Oh man.
And then like 5 years later, Nike comes out with this lower heel drop and all of this. They stole that from me. But
Innovator.
they just think I've just lost it. They do. They have no idea what they're getting. So like, dude, this dude's he's one drink of coffee away from being mentally ill, I think. And I appreciate that. I take that as a compliment.
Your summer camp is awesome. You told me about it in great detail. You spoke about it at the Heartland Distance Summit a couple years ago. Could you kind of give us a quick rundown of, obviously you can't do it this year, but you don't take just your team. You take lots of kids and you go up to Big Bear. And I'm particularly intrigued by, I think you do the run around the lake and the mysterious wake-up calls. Could you talk about some of those real quick?
Well, we call it a running camp, but I don't know why we call it a running camp. We run for like an hour of the day, but the rest of the time, man, it's a straight on, just let's go. Like there are rules, but they're my rules. So whatever rules I come up with, right? So let's talk about the lake run. So I make every boy on my team. There's a 16-mile lake run that goes around Big Bear at 7,000 feet, and we live at sea level. Like I think my house is 24 feet above sea level. So that's way up there. Freshman boys who have only been running for 2 months, I make them do it. Go. I know they're going to walk half of it. But at that point, if you can finish 16 miles any way you want, 3 hours, I don't care. They've showed me that they want to be a part of this. But the kids always say, what time are we getting up? I said, when I get you up. And they're like, what do you mean when you get me up? I said, when I wake you up. And so sometimes it's 4:30 in the morning. I'll come in. I'll start just banging doors open, throwing stuff. Sometimes I let them sleep in, but I wake them up early on the beginning. And then by the last day, they're up on their own because they're like scared to death. I'm gonna come in there and just like throw water on them or something. But no, we just have so much fun up there. And I take 4 or 5 other schools. I think the most I took 203 kids one time. 200.
Got them all home with no bus check?
Yes, no, some of them go home early. No, we have a bell. I have kids tap out of camp. I really do. They're like, I can't take it anymore. I was like, all right, well, get out of here then. No, but kids love it.
Well, Coach, this flew by. This went by so fast. We're in the home stretch now, so we're going to
stretch.
Some final questions here, some rapid fire stuff, quick answers, and then we'll let you go. But before you, thanks for being with us today.
I love it. You know what? Anytime anybody wants to talk about running, I like to talk. I like to listen too. If you got something funny to tell me, just don't be telling me about mile repeats. I don't want to hear about mile repeats. Tell me something good. Tell me something I can use.
Well, maybe you've got some information we can all use. Here's question 1 in the home stretch. Are you the Garmin hacker?
No.
All right.
So question 2, the names of certain workouts are always a point of contention between coaches. So the question that we have for you is, do you all do strides, striders, build-ups, or some other sprint-based workout?
Strides after, but we do have a full day, one day with only 40-meter sprints spiked up once every 10 days. But after every run, we do 6 50-meter strides, baby. Strides.
No R. Good deal.
There's no R. Take that R off. Too long.
State or states?
State.
Yeah.
State.
Yeah,
What states? You guys, states, that's plural. What the hell? Where are you running? What states are you running in?
Coach, I love your background. Basketball, I was a basketball man myself. I'm curious, did you watch The Last Dance, and what's your quick take on it?
Oh man, did I watch the last? You're damn straight. We watched the Last Dance. Let me see. First take. Carmen Electra still looks really good. That's my first take. Right? Let's be honest about that. Scottie Pippen needed a new contract a long time ago. He would be a multi $200 million guy in today's age, but somehow he's broke. It blows my mind. And I did not know that Isaiah Thomas was so hated by so many people.
Right.
Those are my takes, man. And God, quick, there's a thing. I actually I did my student teaching under Michael Jordan's high school coach at Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. So all this time when they said that Michael Jordan got cut, lie. He never got cut. He just didn't make the varsity team.
Right.
Because I was in North Carolina when Michael was coming up pretty good. And I said, how could you cut him? How dumb are you? And he explained to me that he was never cut. So there you go, a little inside. Laney High School, Wilmington.
So did he quit then since he didn't make the varsity?
No, he played. I don't know the number. He averaged like 29 points in JV team. He was 5'6".
Yeah.
They had a rule. Only one freshman gets to move up to varsity, and there was some dude that was like 6'4" that was a freshman. Of course. That's a no-brainer for any basketball coach. Go away, Michael.
All right, so you obviously, I mean, we love talking to you because of your sense of humor, and I'm sure your kids enjoy that too. What's the one thing in practice that you're like always serious about? Like, don't do, Coach Druten is going to be, we know he's serious about X. What is it?
The one thing that I'm serious about. Wow. God, no. Let me think. I do have one. Is that when it's time to go to work, when it's time to do any workout, playtime's over. We work when it's work time, and then we play the rest. So they know that if we're getting ready to do a workout, you better not be screwing around right before that. So you can screw around walking down to practice, but once we start doing drills, you're on your drills. And once that workout starts, there ain't no funny play. We're not out here to be funny. We're out here to work on that day. Then when it's over, we can make fun of everybody throwing up. We can do whatever we want when it's over. But during work time, you got to work.
Okay, so I know that this may not play quite as well being an audio podcast. We can see you on the Zoom call, and I'll tell you right now, somebody handed me a ballot. You easily get my pick for best hair at high school coach.
You're damn straight it is. I'll tell you.
The question to you is, give me the daily hair routine. What do? You wake up. What do you have to do?
Well, let me tell you something. I go to this guy named Shafiq, right? Shafiq, I started going to him in his garage. Shafiq has cut Steph Curry's, Scottie Pippen's hair. He does the Amigos. Earl Watson, a Kansas City guy, right? Kansas City, Washington High School, played 11 years or maybe more than that in the NBA. UCLA, played more games at UCLA than any person ever basketball. He cuts his hair, and somehow I met this guy playing basketball. I've been going to him in his garage forever, so he does this good. But no, I get up and I let it dry. I mean, God, that's the worst part about COVID, right? I couldn't get in to get the haircuts. But get up, I wash it. I use purple shampoo because it's gray and it makes it just look better. This purple shampoo. Then I let it dry. Then I get this pomade and get it in. Then you just let it go.
Do you condition, or is it like that naturally?
No, you don't use conditioner. You just use purple shampoo. No, but it's
last one. Do you still ball? Do you still hoop it up?
That's two different questions. Do I still ball or hoop it up? I still play basketball. I actually just shot an athletic director because I just became the athletic director at school, and we had to do a parent introduction. So I had a basketball dribbling at the end. I just pulled up for a three, nothing but the bottom of the net. So do I still play? Yes. Do I hoop it up? No. I can't even jump anymore. I touch the bottom of the net and then my knees hurt, and they're oh, and I always call foul. I'm terrible now. I'm terrible.
Jason, man, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, I loved it. Thanks, guys.
Spending some time with us today, and I hope to see you soon, my friend.
Let's get me back to Kansas City to just a party.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Yeah.